my name is Tamara Bryce. I'm here to inform you guys about the increase of minimum wage and how it affects businesses and employees. So a lot of times when we hear about minimum wage, it raises a bunch of questions and debates on whether this will be a positive or negative thing for our country. So to really understand it, we need to look at the history of minimum wage and how it came to be. So minimum wage was started during the Depression with the enactment of the Fair Labor Act. And in this Fair Labor Act, before the time of the Fair Labor Act, there was actually no restriction on wages. So people were being paid well under 25 cents per hour. There was no restriction on hours. Employers could ask employees to work crazy amount of hours and they weren't allowed to deny that. And also there was no age restriction. So you had teenagers and children working in dangerous conditions. So at the same time, the Workers' Rights Act was also enacted and drafted so that we as employees were able to deny working in unsafe conditions or working unsafe hours. So since the Fair Labor Act, we have risen from 25 cents per hour to $7.25 an hour. And if you'll draw your attention to the graph, you'll see from 1940 to 1960, about 1965, minimum wage stayed under $1, slowly climbed to $2, and then finally from mid-1970s to 1980s, it steadily rose to $3. And since the 1980s, we have steadily grew on our minimum wage up to the $7.25 we currently are. So several of our presidents have had a huge impact on minimum wage and better wage and health care for our workers. President Obama being one of which. In 2013, he called for a raise of minimum wage to $9 an hour, which would help some 15 million people, mostly being in the lower middle class, being able to afford a livable income as our living costs have rose. So if we draw our attention to this picture here, you can see that we discuss how at $7.25 an hour, most minimum wage families and workers are making about $14,500 a year. If we raise minimum wage to the $9 an hour, that would actually increase wages to workers of $3,500 per year, which can make a big difference. That's even 1 year of utilities for a family. But this increase would not only have an impact on employees, but also businesses. One example is in July of 2015, Purdue University released a study showing, for example, what would happen if fast food restaurants started paying $15 per hour to their employees. And in this study, they released that it would actually increase prices by 4.3%. Does anyone have any questions?
Yeah, I'm just wondering, so if we raise the minimum wage too much, is it going to negatively affect jobs? Is there going to be less jobs?
Actually, to answer that question, the Congressional Budget Office released a report showing two scenarios, one being a raise to minimum wage up to $10.10 per hour, and one being up to the $9 an hour that President Obama had implied. And in the $10 an hour raise, that would be including 500,000 workers would be out of the workforce, but 16.5 million people would see an increase to their weekly wages. But on the $9 an hour minimum wage, we would see only 100,000 workers decrease, but we would have still 7.6 million people see a significant increase to their wages every single week.
So then if it was raised too fast, then that kind of shows that if it's raised too fast, that we might lose too many jobs. It's better to do it slowly.
Yes. The businesses need to be able to compensate for that extra added expense. So in conclusion, I definitely think minimum wage could positively affect employees and their take-home pay and being able to make a living wage. But I do see a minimal effect to businesses having to raise the prices for us consumers. Any other questions? Thank you.